So the essential film-like or dream-like quality of this thing called phenomenal reality or existence is becoming increasingly apparent as we ascend into the higher energies of the earth. And following up on my previous videos on Inception, it's like a multi-layered dream whereby uh, the self, which is seen as separate from the avatar uh, known as me, or the mind-body image, is kind of running the show. And you can't explain it, but every so-called object in space-time is seen as the self, or for the sake of convenience, God. It's hard to explain because that kind of means that everything is you playing hide and seek with yourself, doing a dance of separation, of illusion. So, like, I'm just looking at around the room now, and it's like the chair is God, the candle is God, the cat is God, the windows are God, the trees are God. And this is a useful tool to awaken at least to one's true nature and to dissolve the anxiety of there being a separate world that is against you, and realizing that the ego is just a phantom. It's a construct that seems real, that enforces and emphasizes the illusion of separation. And it's very, very clever. It's very, very clever. And one caveat, or I don't want to say danger, but yeah, let's use the word danger. One danger about this philosophy is that, because the ego is still present, it's not going to go away. When it hears of this, oh, everything is the self, everything is God, it will maybe hijack this philosophy and begin to think that I, the ego, I, am God. And that's a kind of a Luciferian inflation of power, and that's somewhere we don't want to go there. We don't want to go there. But as long as that trap can be seen for what it is, then you won't fall into it. But everything is, in this sense, in the non-dual sense, the self. And when we say namaste, that signifies the divine in me acknowledges and sees the divine in you as well, even if it's demonic, because the demons are also a more ignorant aspect of self, asleep in the mind-body identity, thinking it's just me, the person, instead of the one self. So the analogy is this: the ego, or false self mind that creates separation, is Lucifer, and the self with capital S, the self, or God, is the Christ. And when Jesus Christ said, I and my Father are one, that signified that there's no separation between myself, essentially, and my Father in heaven. So the point is, God is here now. Bidden or unbidden, God is here. And that's not in an arrogant Luciferian sense, but meant with the deepest humility, you know, and recognition of oneness, that we are all seemingly separate little fishes swimming in the ocean of God. And when we say God is everything and everyone, we're like, what God? Likewise, the fish will say, what ocean? What are you talking about? Even though they're swimming in the ocean. So it is the mind-body identity of the fish that sees themselves as separate from the ocean of God that they are swimming in. It is this ignorance, ignoring the essence of you. Whereas knowledge or science is just knowing that God is. You don't have to justify where he or it is in space or time. It's just isness. And when the Vedic mantra Om Shanti Om Shanti Om Shanti Shanti Shanti, that indicates the peace or the bliss that passeth all understanding. It goes beyond the conditioning of the ego mind. That you are already in that ocean of bliss. As Jesus Christ said, the kingdom of heaven is within you. God is within you and around you as you know. And many people will say, well, if the self is you or God is you, then what about this phenomenal manifestation? What about the creation? All these, everything you see. Well, at a higher level, at your highest level, which is non-physical and operating, beyond the material senses, is projecting this lucid simulation film or dream in which you, as the avatar, the so-called meat suit, is playing a role called Jesse, in my case. So your relative self, this here now, is also your absolute self, which is the Father in heaven. And when you die or quit the body, all of your phenomenal experiences, you bring that to the Akasha, because consciousness never dies. So all of your experiences are eternal, even though they are phenomenal and passing. So this is precisely why when people say they have near-death experiences, their whole life goes past them. A whole kind of life review happens. Every single scene in the movie of life is reactivated. That's because everything in this relative reality is already part and parcel of the experience of the one self and the absolute. So by analogy, you could say you, the Son of God, are having these relative experiences, and when you die or leave the body, supposedly, you go back to your father, the Absolute, and say, Dad, look, these are my experiences. And you'll review all of your life experiences, and he's very eager, the Absolute Self, to sit down with you, and lovingly review the life experiences, like the evening with the photo album, as T.S. Eliot wrote. So everything is eternal, even though it appears as relative. Because the movie is being recorded, is being projected and recorded simultaneously. So nothing goes unnoticed. God sees everything. And it also makes one accountable for one's actions as well, knowing that everything is being recorded, and no stone shall go unturned, really. So this is what it means to bring the unconscious to light, or making the darkness conscious, really. Because that which does the seeing of experience, who is it that's looking? Who is it that's seeing? That is none other than the light of God. So consciousness is light. And without consciousness, there wouldn't be experience. So in a way, it's all you doing it, without you, as you identify yourself, fully recognizing that yet. And it's beyond the mind's conception, because, if everything is me, playing itself out, then there's nothing to worry about, because obviously we're in a play. All the world's a stage, as Shakespeare wrote. So everything is working in your favor rather than against, And I guess that's what it means to surrender to what is, and being fully present in each moment. Because when you resist what is, that implies that there is a certain aspect of yourself that you're rejecting or disowning. But if everything is you, not as you understand yourself, but the self, then you just surrender to what is. Everything is perfect in this moment, including the deeply buried, traumatic, uncomfortable emotions, that we try to, sedate or escape, in many ways. It's like when you're watching a movie, and especially like a movie you love or that you've seen many times, and there's someone next to you watching it for the first time, and they're getting very emotional, like really emotionally engaged, and being completely absorbed in the movie. But you know that what happens, so you're like a bit more neutral and kind of more amused and detached. Whereas the other person watching the movie is like, oh my god. That is the difference, the subtle difference between the ego mind and, the true self. So, and it's as long as we're in this human conception, sometimes we will go back into identifying with the ego, and that's okay, you know, forgetting that it is just a movie, pretending like we're in this for the very first time. But everything is prescripted and predestined, and it's kind of like more about the secret is to let go and enjoy the show, I suppose, and let the emotions happen, you know, because that's energy in motion. So even the dense materialist scientists are already have discovered by now that actually the universe is predetermined. You know, so we have free will, yes, but only to an extent. And it's up to it's the ego mind has to surrender and be reabsorbed into the self, and humbly trust the plan, the divine plan of the absolute source. So there we go. I think that's pretty much it for now.